Welcome again to another season of thereradio. You're our first guest. Our first guest today, man. This is our first guest of season 3. This is our 3rd season doing this, thereradio. Just a refresher, we focus on LA music, LA artists of all mediums, of all genres. And we go a little bit more into depth as to what artists do and their journey. Well, before I ask you to introduce yourself, I do want to introduce you, Today we have on the show Dnyc3, Compton, California.
Yes, sir.
More than 20 years producing.
Grinding.
Produced for Lil Wayne, Tyga, Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Ab-Soul, 03 Greedo, Blueface, Drakeo the Ruler, and the Bay's HBK. And you know what I just found out? You were the producer behind the one T-Rail song that's out there.
Oh, yeah, man. Shout out to T-Rail, man. It was crazy how that song came about, because originally it was just the hook on there. Mm-hmm. And we had Burner from Cookies.
Yeah.
He was on there in Problem.
Okay.
But we didn't move forward to the song, so we had the song just sitting on the computer, and T-Rail came in and heard the hook. Everything else was history, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that are in this media space right now, when we think of Valley hip hop, even thinking about AD and Pun and T-Rail, these are all people that you've worked with, right? Mm-hmm. These are all people that you also, was at one point Pun managed, League of Starz and all of this. Right. Did you see that in the future of these people that I'm working with will one day be a part of this media realm?
Well, honestly, bro, I know people that continue to do it. Mm-hmm. And you know how the cliche saying, if you never give up, you'll get somewhere? Yeah. I just seen all the people that I've been around never give up. And they become bigger and more powerful in this society just by never giving up. So everybody that got the grind, and you see them every day doing it, they're going to get somewhere, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of... I want to start off here. You recently, I would say a few days ago, you dropped a song.
Right.
You dropped a song. It's called Gifts.
Gifts, yeah.
Right? And from what I've read is that you started off, before even producing was a thing for you, you started off as a rapper, as an artist.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And now you're back to that. At least part of it, right?
Right. So what the thing was, I was an artist first, and then I couldn't afford beats. I used to hit producers up. They were like $500. I'm like, damn, do I got $500 just to give somebody for one beat? That's not guaranteed to make me anything back. It wasn't a smart investment for me. So what I decided, I said, let me invest some time into learning how to make this. So now I have to pay for beats. I make the beats and I rap on them now. But in the process, I fell in love with making beats more than rapping, because I knew what being a rapper comes with. So I never wanted to, I'm not that type. I'm an introvert, So it's being a rapper, you have to be outspoken. You have to be this star that just generates attention. And I do that in my artistic way of creating beats. And it was easier for me when I made beats versus me being a rapper. But even though I was a cool rapper, I fell in love with producing. So I stopped rapping for my whole tenure when I was making these placements, getting these big songs.
Mm-hmm. No, even when you started, you mentioned at the panel where I met you, which was at the producer panel, is that even as an artist, you and Dupree were opening up for YG during the Tooted and Booted time.
Yeah, and that's at the time before I was a full-on producer. That's when I was dabbling with both still. So I was rapping to my own beats. So when we opened up, I was performing the songs that I produced with me rapping on them.
That's cool. What made you want to come back to that, Because this is the latest song, but you've been releasing songs little by little since 2019, 20?
Oh, yeah.
2020?
My catalog, I think I dropped my first project in 2021 ever. That was my first project with me rapping on it, the whole thing. And what made me come back was really just, I sat in studio session to watch different artists come and do it with ease. Some struggle, some just knocking songs out. I'm like, I'm already making beats. I could rap. I already freestyle to my beats while I'm making them. So it's like, why not put the words on the beat? Because I could do it too. Because this is where I come from. Like, it's not something everybody else doing. Let me do it. No, it was more, I already do this. Why not do it? And like right now, my catalog, I probably have 100 songs sitting on my hard drive that I recorded over the years. That's really good. That's why you've been seeing me release them slowly but surely. But cause I don't want to do a project, cause nobody listen to a project, but singles, they love singles. So I'm just keep dropping singles, cause I put out a project and I did the balancing options, and it made more sense to drop singles. So, and I got a lot of them. So it's gonna be a even like the 03 Greedo project. I've been sitting on that since 2017.
Yeah. Well, what made you want to hold off to that? Cause it really didn't release till December of last year, right?
Yeah. So what happened with that was, we did the project. He was dealing with his case and whatsoever, and he ended up, by the time we got it mixed and ready to go, he was locked up. So it's like, I had labels. I had meetings with labels. They were saying like, how can we market it with him locked up? Like, and I didn't want to do the cartoon, or I wanted to make it feel like so he could support it just as much as I support it, So we just hold off. He got out of jail, I think last year.
In March of last year.
We've been talking back and forth and just trying to figure it out. He signed to a label, so of course the labels got their politics and whatsoever. So he already drops the project out there, out from the label. So like, I don't like, most artists that sign to labels, they don't just have the freedom to keep releasing music because it's a business now. So when you're independent, it's independent. But once the label get involved, it's like you got to cross every T, dot every I, And that's why it's only on SoundCloud too.
Yeah, because I had saw that you had tweeted that it was going to be on Spotify. And then I looked it up, and it wasn't.
Man, so yeah, like I said, the labels is real political. You got to cross all T's, dot all I's. We got big features on there that signed to other labels, and it's just like, to get the labels to be a part of it, they have to believe in it. And if they feel as this music this is outdated and this and that, but not knowing that most of those songs on there are reproduced since then. Like a few of the songs, I made the beats like in real time, like December, November. So these are fresh beats. The mixes are fresh. I remix everything, and like now, like even the fans on, like you see the comments, they saying, "Oh, this the best shit. This the what we want. This is what we've been missing." Like stuff like that. So it's just trying to convince the label to believe that it got to make money for them. So.
Yeah, which is interesting because Pitchfork rated it like an 8.0 out of 10 from their usually rated, and they named right there, like, although it was from like 2017 or whatnot, it called it like a timeless kind of piece.
Exactly. I knew it was that before when we created. I knew it was timeless because I knew what I'm capable of, and the music is just, Greedo did his thing, and then the features just made it that much better.
So from that project, you mentioned that you did repurpose it and you did reproduction. So from what was taken, was it Greedo's vocals and his verses from that time period, or did he re-record some of those things as well?
All the verses is old from Greedo. All everything's from 2017, but some of the features are 2023, 2020, 2021. But yeah.
What? I do want to ask you, what was that like during that time period when y'all were together at like, what was it, like 2017? Specifically also because this was the time before Greedo was incarcerated.
Right.
This is also before the time he got signed to a label, right?
Right.
So what was that looking like? How did y'all first connect or link up, or what was that connection?
Years back, when I was with League of Starz, I had did a song with Greedo called "Pay Me in Pennies." And like, he was called Greedy Giddy, and like the music that he was creating then was just as good, but didn't have the melodic to it. Like, so he went to jail back then and got back out, and that's when we linked up. And at the time, that's when I parted ways with League of Starz, so I was really just freelancing. But I like a lot of these artists in LA. I knew them from growing up because, like I say, all these dudes have been doing music. They just never gave up, and now they becoming the stars they are. But like at the time, like Greedo was moving at a pace that was like like no other because he knew what he was up against. So like we had 6-hour sessions. We knocking out six songs, full songs. So it was just like a time, time to be alive for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned artists that have been doing this for a minute. You've been doing this for a minute. I read and I heard from an interview that you said that when you were in 5th grade, in the yearbook, you said you wanted to be an artist.
Yeah, so my mom still had a yearbook at her crib right now. It asks like all the kids in my elementary, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said NBA player or an artist, a music artist, musician. And
how'd you know? How
did I know?
Yeah,
I can't even answer that question. It was just in me. Like that's just what I became. Like I had like. It's a lot of my family that I'm the first generation musician in my family that really like did something. So, but music is like lives in my family. Like my grandparents love music. Like I lived with my grandparents growing up a lot of my years, and we hear music all day, every day. My grandpa singing, my grandma just vibing, dancing. My uncle, he could sing, but he never like pursued it. But like if you put on some Marvin Gaye, he could sing it just as good as Marvin Gaye type. So and then my mom's like, if you know my mom loves loud music. My mom drives a truck right now, 215s in the back. Like so, music has just been a part of my life. So I guess that's what made me just fall in love with it.
Yeah. Speaking of your grandparents, that was where the place and the location when you made your first beat, right? Or at least that's what I've read.
So I did the song for not Tyga, YG called Amy. It was like 2004, 2005. And it's a video on YouTube right now where I'm sitting in my grandparents' living room on a Dell computer, two like the little speakers, like the computer speakers that's really that little, not loud. It sound muffled. And that's where I was cooking up. That's where I learned how to make beats, is on that same computer in that same living room.
Yeah. And you mentioned that time period, and around that time period, it was also the time in LA where people had like groups, right?
Right.
Whether it was dance groups or music groups. And from what I've also read is that you and YG were part of a group at that time?
So yes, our clique was called Hollywood Clique, right? Yeah. And the clique was called Hollywood because we already knew we was gonna be somewhere in Hollywood. Yeah. But it's crazy because he wasn't the only one a part of that was attached to the group. Tyga was attached to the group. We had a function in Torrance at Mulligan's. Tyga, YG there. A lot of like LA artists from our generation was at that function with us. And it was because our clique brought all these people from surrounding areas to this place, and it was a vibe.
Yeah. Is it because y'all connect through mutual friends, family members? How did that come together?
So this is when MySpace first came to the world. And we was like the part of the study, like I guess. So just being on MySpace and just easy to connect with people, like, it made it that much easier. Mm-hmm. And like you can see now, like a person could tweet something, 1 million people will show up just because of social media.
Yeah. So, I have a tweet from you that I'm going to hold off till the end.
I'll be having my rants. Yeah. Hopefully not one of those days.
But I do have something that I'm asking about that. But yeah, so at the time, not only MySpace, but there was also, this is when also jerk music was getting on the rise, and this is when the jerking was happening. And when we think of YG, we think of that era and that time period, and a little bit later, right? 2011, 2012. But could you tell us a little bit more about what was it about? How did jerking pop here in LA, or at least from your experience, from your,
Okay, let me go back to the last question.
Okay.
So, damn, what I was about to say, I forgot. So, no, that's when you said how we connected and brought all these people together. YG and me made a song called Amy, right? Mm-hmm. That's when AOL had instant messengers on Sidekicks. So that's how, that was the social media before the social media. So that's how we all was able to connect with everybody around the city, because everybody on AIM, everybody got each other AIM. We put away messages up, where to be, what time we gonna be there. So that's how we connected. Now back to what was the next question?
On Amy as well, is that it was later remade as well, right? Or was it this? Is it the one that you helped remake, the one with Mustard as well in it?
So I'm gonna give you the history on the Amy song. So originally, me, my boy Trent, Splack, he's with Amio, and there was another guy. We had a song called "Hit Me on Aim." It was like, with my sidekick, hit me on aim. With my sidekick. So we was basically promoting that song. At the same time, YG was from the same clique we was from, Hollywood. He knew about the song because the song was going viral amongst our clique. So years down the line, YG blows up, and he hit me like, hey, remember that aim shit you did? Can you make me something like that, remake it, make it more jerk? And that's how we got that.
That's crazy. But did you know Mustard at the time?
I didn't know Mustard. I only knew YG from this situation.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to my previous question. I was mentioning that the jerking scene.
Right.
From your experience, how did that come to pop here in LA?
I think at the time we had G-Funk before, then G-Funk evolved, and then Hyphy came. So Hyphy was fun party music, but that was from the Bay. Like, I don't know why they separate the two, like we all not from California, but it came from the Bay. It was Bay Area music. So this how they slap, this how we do. Like me and my boys, that all my people that produce around me, we was listening to Hyphy music. So Trent on the beat, he did Function 340. So you see, we was always Hyphy, so it just made sense. So I think the Hyphy, and then we wanted to make it more us. So it's a different tempo with a different kind of feel to it, because we wanted to incorporate like just simple melodies. And I think Jerk was more so, we didn't even have melodies. It was just basically drum loops that we just created in different breaks and drops. So I think it just came from just being a Californian.
Yeah, I mean, even when we think about cycles, like before, even during like the G-Funk era, it was like, and before that it was like breaking, right?
Right,
and then
right.
Breaking from LA, then it developed to
Yeah.
and even now, like 10 years after, or a little bit more since the jerking era, now there's like a new wave of jerk music.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it or if you've heard it.
Because the music has always been, like, since Jerk came, the music been Jerk. We just slowed it down, we speed it back up, we slow it down again, and that's what it is, bro. Like you say, it's just cycles. So these 10 years, we want slower music. Next 10 years, we want faster music. That's how music works.
You know how they call it traffic music and stuff like
Yeah.
that? Would you consider like that part of like still like the jerking stuff, or is that like something totally separate?
It's Jerk to me, because like I said, bro, we all from here, so we all know each other music. So each of us inspire one another. So yeah, it's its own thing, but it comes from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you heard the new jerk wave, or the new? It's like really fast, really like I don't know how to explain it.
I haven't heard no new Jerk songs in a while, but I mean, I was there when Jerk was created, so I could only imagine what it sounded like, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's very fast. I mean, even I don't know if the kids so much, because it's a young group, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, all these movements are by the youth.
Yeah.
And even when like people ask them like, yo, is this Jerk or is this they're kind of hesitant, but when you put it on, and at least when I hear it, I can hear it through the just through the tempo, like you were mentioning. Yeah.
But like, even to speak on that, like how you said the youth, like I was just watching the interview yesterday on YouTube, and the guy was explaining, check Kanye career out. Like Kanye, he's not shoulder to shoulder with Jay-Z in the hip hop hierarchy right now. You feel me? But Kanye embraced the next generation, and now he's a god to that generation. So once this old generation get out, Kanye will be at the top. So it's just always the youth is the future. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Do you keep that in mind when you're making music?
Definitely. I don't try to, oh man, y'all make music like that. I can't, that don't sound like what we did. I'm not that type of producer, bro. It's music. Music is going to change daily. So I'm just going to change daily with the music.
What do you think about the conversations that happen online about, like, you know, West Coast isn't popping, and there's always like criticism about the music that comes out of here?
I mean, people got to understand California is a big state. Like, we have millions of people. Like, why do we need the rest of the world if our millions of people support us? But I get the conversation. Like, we not transcending past the West Coast. Like, they're not playing our music on the East Coast and the South. But it's really because of BPM. If you go anywhere else in the world, I mean, on this in this country, their BPMs is slow or faster than ours. Ours in the middle. Ours sits in its own space, so that's why they consider it West Coast music. So most songs that come out that's between 90 to 105 BPM, it's a West Coast sound. Once you go past 105, that's when you get to EDM music. Once you go lower than 90, that's when you get trap and soul and just jazzy stuff like that. So it's really just they say that to say like, oh, we not transcending from the West Coast, but at the same time, millions of people hearing our music.
yeah. And I think people don't take into consideration the influence that like West Coast hip hop specifically has had in even like this regional Mexican music movement.
Right.
Because regional Mexican is like right now like the thing that's pop. Like even if you look at Rolling Loud, like it has Chino Pacas,
right.
It has Fuerza Regida, it has all these like regional acts that even they tell you like it's influenced by hip hop,
Right.
Like, so I think that's something that isn't taken into consideration when thinking about the conversation. It's just
right.
about that, like it transcends even, hip hop.
Yeah, I think it's just a stigma that people, the narrative they trying to create, so it won't flourish. Like it's really people saying that to hate. Like, you know how you be like, oh man, if I go to a job and I'm like, don't hire him because he do this, or don't hire him because he do this, and then you get there and you do the total opposite. Like, bro, what are you talking about? You just hate it at this point,
Yeah. Do you know why that narrative would be put out there like that?
I mean, we West Coast. You know what the stigma is. Like, we the real of the real out here. Like, we don't play no games. So I think that's what people. I think it's more of fear than, you feel me, than anything.
Yeah. I want to go back to also the time when you were a part of the group that ran the sound of what the West Coast sounded like, which was League of Starz.
Right.
And this was around what time period? Like 2011, 2012, even before that?
I think 2010 till 2016. That's when I was a part of League of Starz.
So it was, y'all were producing for like the biggest people at the time that were coming out of here, YG, Tyga, HBK as well. Well, when you think back at that time, what comes to mind? What's the first thing that you think about?
It was just like fun and free. Like, the mind state. I was a kid that's working with all these big names that people that I've been listening to prior to me working with them, and it was just like a time that really groomed me into becoming who I am today, and I'm blessed to be a part of. Like I seen this other tweet the other day. It was like, "What have you contributed to society?" And I was like, "Damn, I really contribute something to society that millions of people didn't heard my." Like, I run into people still. They tell me like, "Bro, Faded. Oh my God, like you don't know what I was doing in high school. I had so many women to this song." Like it's like, and that is what makes me like give me the drive to keep doing it and just like trying to. Hey, I want to create more moments. I want to add more to society,
Yeah, most definitely. This is a question that I just want to ask. You don't have to answer it if you don't, but what led you to separating from that? What was it like, 2016, I guess?
I mean, just the direction that they was going. I wasn't really like, like I said, I'm more of an introvert. And like, as you can see where they went to, they're extroverts. And it just wasn't my tea, and it's just knowing that I'm gonna be good wherever I'm at, just because, like, I do music, like I got the product, so no matter what, I am the product. When Jay-Z say I'm a businessman, so I am the business. Yeah. And I just wanted, I'm the type of person that has to be a leader, so I have to become the boss. Like, not saying that nobody else could be a boss around me, but I want to be a boss.
Yeah. You know what? I was listening to the music that y'all were creating at that time, and this is something that I've also seen in another situation, but when y'all were producing these beats, whether it be you, Janari, or Dupree, it had the League of Starz tag. Right? So you wouldn't know who made it.
Right. But every beat that we produced on our own has 2 tags. So it has that tag, and then it has our individual tags on it right after it.
Yeah.
But like, if you was a fan of us, you could tell the difference from the sound selection. Because we don't like. You could go meet every beat Dnyc3 made, every beat Dnyc3 made, and every beat I made. None of them sound the same unless we work together.
And speaking of, even though you left the group at that time, I mean, y'all still work together, right?
Oh yeah,
Dnyc3?
that was my brothers before. Like, I knew them on the come up. Like, before we had any records. Like, Dnyc3 was like one of my inspirations to get more musical with my music, like add more melodic stuff to it. So like, these are people that that influenced me. At the same time, I knew them prior to making music, and we just vibe just off some cool guys, just with the same interests that's really talented, you know?
Yeah.
So those my brothers, like, you know, I was one of the groomsmen in the pre-wedding, you know? So it's like, those my brothers, so, you know, it was easy. And then Trend, like I say, Trend, the one that made Function, we lived together at the time. He had Function, I had Faded. It was on the radio. We lived in the same house. We was both had hits on the radio, living under the same roof. So these are my friends, you know?
Yeah. Did y'all influence each other in the way that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Like I say, me and Trent lived in the house together. When he making beats, oh, let me add something. Let me come. Hey, this fire. Let me check this out. So and then like today, like even today, like Dnyc3 coming to the studio, Dnyc3 come to the studio today. We cooking up later. So it's like, you know, nothing stopped.
Yeah. You know what I also saw? I saw that one of the I would say one of the producers that's came to also be known within the last few years was Laureano.
Oh yeah, that's my boy.
And then I seen videos of you and him in the same studio as well. Like,
oh yeah.
Do you also take that into mind, like approaching the younger producers and then taking them under their wing and stuff like that?
The craziest thing, I'm gonna tell you a story about Laureano. So I seen Laureano on the come up. So I'm reaching out like, "What's up, bro? Hey, send me some loops. Like, let's work. Let's cook up." He sent me a pack of beats. I think he sent like 3 or 4. The first beat I opened up was Studio for Blueface. The first beat I made with Laureano was Studio for Blueface. And then I just had a studio in Mid-City. Me and Laureano was neighbors for like 2-3 years. So Laureano he's talented, bro. And I love music to the point I'm gonna do my research. I'm gonna listen. Oh yeah, I just want to cook. Like, it's not even beyond the business and all that. I just love music, you know? So if you do music, we gonna connect on that level. Once you start doing all that weird stuff, then then I can't come to the studio no more with you.
Before we started this conversation, you mentioning how, because we met at the producer panel and that's how we first connected.
Right.
What do you think of the scene now of producers and coming together? Because we've seen these producers come together, right? Before with League of Starz, Hit Mob, and now there's where like this, you know, where it's like we got Lo the Great that's also there. That was like, I'm just talking about producers that were at the panel. What do you hope the future of producers comes to be?
I mean, I hope we could get a West Coast producer community just because of the way the narrative on the music. Like, everybody's saying the music this, the music that, but if the producer band together and we could help control the sound, then we could help control the narrative. So bringing us together, like, everybody could do their own thing. We don't have to be under one umbrella or, you know, but if we have a standard out here, we set the standard of this is what we giving them. It got to sound just as good, because if one look bad, we all look bad, obviously, because they're going to say the West Coast. If you put our trash on, it's all of us. So I think just us banding together and just setting a standard.
When you go in the studio to create a song, is there something that you try to keep in mind while you're in there?
The pre. I hear the pre in the back of my head. Keep it simple. That's what that's all hey man, just keep it simple, bro. Less is more. Trust me. So when I go in the studio, I don't overproduce.
What is overproducing? I would say
overproducing. Most hit records probably got 6 to 10 sounds.
Yeah. You know what? I read that you hated, or you got tired of Faded.
So yeah, Faded. Like that was one of the beats that I just made, save, and like, you know, I sent it off. It wasn't like, when I play beats, I know a beat like, oh, this is fire. Faded wasn't that.
Damn, but yeah, keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. But even then, Faded had like 6 sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think I fell in love with overproducing than me just producing.
Okay. I do want to. Well, going back to the tweet. You tweeted a few days ago. I have to ask you.
I didn't say nothing too bad a few days ago.
All right, and I'm gonna quote you. This is a quote. Y'all wouldn't believe all the things and favors I did to push the West Coast music culture forward.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I mean, I connected people. I helped. I ain't gonna say I single-handedly made the play happen, but I introduced people to people, and what they did after that became great. And it's countless of people I looked out for. And some of them were the biggest names on the West Coast.
Was it like a moment of self-reflection at that point, or did you see something, or?
Nah, it's just like it was self-reflection. Like I don't be like, oh, what he doing? Like I'm not that type of person. Like I look at it like, damn, I really helped make that become that. Like I get my satisfaction is just knowing that I put that together. Like I don't need nothing from it. It's just like, damn, I really did that. You don't even got to tell me thank you. I just made that happen, and that's the power I hold. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to interview you, is because you're one of the producers that's done a lot in the West Coast, and we've seen that over 20 years, man. Right. So like you've definitely put it in, and I think specifically producers a lot of times get overlooked for the sound of the way the music goes.
Yeah, I mean, and then because we not in front of the cameras, we not the ones selling tickets to the shows. We're not there performing in front of the crowd. So it's like, just like the cameraman, just like the engineer, just like the person that interviews whoever interviewed Drake, they ain't gonna talk about the interviewer unless they do something crazy, but it's really Drake's interview, you know? So it's just, but even then, like, we know who 40 is from Drake, but he's not as big as Drake. But he produced every song by Drake. Like, you know? And it's just what it is, but that's why as producer community, we band together, we create our own content, create our own platforms, tell our own stories, and just put our own content in. Now, content is like, you don't even gotta be a great rapper to be famous. Just have great content, you know. So,
you know, there is one other person I want to ask about, because when we do think of big producers, at least coming out of here, we think of Mustard.
Right.
What do you think helped him propel to that? I think one of the things that people say was like his tag. His tag wasn't like these big hit songs, but right. You mentioned that I've seen an interview where you mentioned you think you were one of the first producers to include that.
I mean, I'm definitely one of the first. If I'm not the first, I'm top 5 for sure. But like with Mustard, I think what helped Mustard is it's a producer, it was an artist, and then it was Tyga, you know. So he had YG. It was a dynamic, like the big 3, like, you know, Shaq, Kobe, and whoever else that's just as good on that wing. Like it was a triple threat, you know. And they came, and like I said, YG was grinding. YG got there, and then he got there with the Mustard single. So it was like, oh, these 2 guys. Oh, they got Ty too. So it just, I think it was just all the ingredients that came to that. I mean, the tag, of course, because that's why G sent his tag.
Yeah. Well, in the similar way that like League of Starz, when y'all came together, I think it was that also that connection. What do you hope for the next? I wouldn't say the next 5 years, but what do you hope like your music does now for the future? What do you hope it brings? What do you hope for it? Yeah.
Me as an artist, I just want people to listen to my music and hear the stories I'm telling, just because a lot of people can relate to what I'm talking about, just because I don't live in fairyland. Like, I live in reality. So, like, I go through stuff just like any and everybody else, like, you know, and like just hearing my point of view, like it's a lot of layers to me. And my music contains all these stories about me. I'm not, like, most of my songs, I don't rap about fairy tales. Like, it's not, oh, I got $1 million, oh, I got this. Like, my music is organic and real. Like, I dig deep to bring this out, because I'm not like, you know how Roddy Ricch say he antisocial? I'm really antisocial, about my personal. Like we could talk music all day, but once you start asking me personal stuff, I'm gonna give you slim to none. Like, you know, because I deal with that up here and I don't let it out. You know, I'm a thinker, so.
Yeah, but you put it out through your music.
I put it out through my music. That's where my release comes from.
Even at a young age, you feel like you did that as a young age as well?
I mean, like I said, like if you know my story, then you understand at a young age, I became antisocial. Antisocial, just because of the life I lived. You know, like everything around me played a part in me being just really to myself and not being this all outgoing and stuff. You know?
Yeah, I think you mentioned you were living with your grandma.
Yeah.
Does that play a big role as well as in the way that you've, you know, did that influence your music in any type of way?
Oh, definitely, because Granny was the first person to give me a computer to make beats on, you know? So like, that was like, you know, my grandparents always supported me in everything I did because I wasn't a bad kid. Like the things I chose to do was productive. I was like in school, while I was in middle school and high school, I was a hooper. Like I played varsity 9th grade. Like I was really hooping. But once I realized I wasn't going over 6 foot, I picked up the computer. Like but that's definitely like, you know, was a time when I was with my grandparents that helped me become, you know, who I am.
When you think back of Compton, what do you think about?
I just think about all the great times that I had, because the neighborhood I grew up in, it was called Eugene Village. They tore down the apartments. So I can't even go back to where I grew up at, where my roots is. Like I know people. I mean, I know the people, but it's not the same without the buildings, you know. But I just think about it's so many great times I had in Compton, and like my neighborhood where I grew up in, the park surrounded was Magic Johnson Park. Magic Johnson used to come to our park once a year in the summer and host a event, a festival. Carnival rides, give the kids of the building free clothes, shoes, have different artists. Like we seen B2K perform before B2K was B2K. We seen Janae Aiko perform before she became a star. Like, you know, like he brought these people this money, he brought an aura to where we grew up at, and I think that helped like us see that the world is big, you know, because we was so confined in those apartments that we didn't, like, we seen Matt Johnson on TV. We ain't never seen this man just walk through the park, just talk to us and hold kids' hands, give fives. Like, so that's what I think about, like, Magic Johnson Park, Eugene Village, just all the people of Compton that, you know, I crossed paths with and just had moments with.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned as well is that you have kids now, right?
Yeah.
How many
I got kids.
Kids, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, the way you grew up, does that influence the way you raise them?
I mean, of course, because I was raised by a single mother. You know, my pops, that's like I said, my life story is a story within itself, bro. Like, my pops wasn't in my life at all. But when I turned, I think I was like 23, 24, I find out the dude that wasn't part of my life wasn't my real pops. My real pops is still alive. Well, that's another crazy story. So I ended up meeting my real pops when I was like 26 for the first time. And like, when I say I knew that was my pops, as soon as I seen him, I damn near felt like I looked in the mirror and I turned old. You know, it was like this guy looked just like me, but the old version. And it was like, that really blew my mind. And then the day I found, like a week after I found out my real pops, the pops that I thought I had, that was my pops, he died in a car crash. So we never even had a conversation about just a man-to-man conversation from when I found out my real dad and he passed, you know? But yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. But I mean, I think sometimes these kind of situations influence the music, influence art and stuff like that.
And the crazy, I'm gonna tell you, even crazier than that. So the pops that I thought was my pops, he was a mechanic. My real pops, he was a rapper. My sister, like my pops' daughter, she was a rapper too. Like, this is in my blood. I knew that man. We didn't share that connection, but instantly I go over here and this is my whole story. Like, I'm just rewriting it. Like, it's crazy.
You think of that? Do you think sometimes it's like some shit is just in us? Like, it's in our DNA. Like, music has to be a part of it.
Like you asked me earlier, how did I get into music? It's in me. Like, I can't explain it. It's just in there.
Yeah. Most definitely.
But you were saying, like with my kids, and like, I'm one of those, like, I didn't have a father when I was a kid. I didn't have a dad. I didn't have, like, my grandfather was my dad growing up. My kids, they got me whenever. Like, you feel me?
Yeah.
I will make sacrifices for them before I try to make a sacrifice for anybody else. Yeah,
that's real. Do they influence any of the way that you approach music? Maybe it's like the music you're in, I don't know, make or...
So 2021, when I dropped my album, my music was a little not PG-13. So my kids like my music. So that's crazy, right? They used to be like, you ain't cool, Dad. But nah, they like my music, and like, because they got good beats, good vibes. So they would listen to my album, and I started listening to my album because I just go and I don't think, like, I just feel. So I started listening to I'm like, damn, if I was 10 years old, would I want my dad to be rapping about this, that, and that? So, like, not saying I was talking about like drugs and stuff like that, but it's just like vulgar language, F-bombs, and just a whole bunch of bad words that I could say something different and get the same point across. So they helped me clean up my music.
Make it for everyone.
Make it for everyone. Kids, but like, the kids are the future. So if the kids love it, I'm going to be around a little longer than if these old folks love it.
This is the last question. I kind of want to bring you more into the present. I want to speak about your company, Bag That Money.
Oh, yeah.
What led you to create that?
I mean, I was once I left League of Starz, I wanted to build my own company, and I had my cousin AB, and then my boy Lucky Forte, his name Mike, and it's Brandon, Dante, I'm Dante, and Michael. So that was BDM. So them was the initial I put together, and then B, we was going back and forth, and we came up with Bag That Money, and that was the company. And then, like, the information wasn't out there to me at a young age that how to start a business, run a business, operate, and understand business. So I think my journey in understanding business, that will help me create the company. And now the company, I'm signed to, like, Dante worked for the company. Like, it's not the company working for Dante.
Yeah. Last question. Is there any advice, anything you would tell, not just young producers, but any just young artists that's really trying to go into music?
Just say, man, you definitely got to have thick skin, have a plan, set goals, short term and long term, and just never give up. Just keep trying, keep knocking at that door, keep laying your bricks down. Every brick you lay down gonna get you that castle eventually. But I say just keep at it. Like, if you love it, do it. Don't do it for nothing else. If you don't love it, don't do it. You got to do it if you love it, because when them nights get cold and you need some inspiration, you got to have the love for it, because you're gonna be doing something else and you might crash out over it. So do it if you love it. Don't do it just because you want the glitz and glamour.
Yeah. Man, thank you so much for being on here. I do want to ask you, is there anything else you would want to share with us before?
I just want to say, I appreciate y'all. I'm the first guest of season 3,
Season 3, yeah.
So, I appreciate y'all for having me. Like, this is the dope conversation, like, we having, because, like, a lot of people don't know half of the stuff I told you today,
And there's more. I know there's more.
There's a whole bunch more. Like, I had, like, when YG got the album My Crazy Life, I had a crazy life. I've been the good, like Kendrick, I've been a good kid in the Mad City. I grew up in Compton too, but I'm not the statistic in Compton. I'm the, the minority, if you get with my drift. And, what I got coming, I've been dropping drum kits. I'm about to get, like, really indulged in the producer community. Like, I'm really going content, loops, game. Like, I'm gonna start hosting, like, producer cook-ups, camps, where people, like, different producers could pull up. We make music, we take them, get placed, and just that. Also, I'm gonna continue to drop music. I got some new projects coming. I got a few projects that I got done with some artists like Chris O'Bannon, Dnyc3 that signed to YG. I got some songs with G Perico that's gonna be dropping. Got some songs with Compton AV. Right now, me, Dnyc3 is in the works on something special. So, you know, with one of the other, like, with a legend producer from out here. So, you know, we tapped in with Mustard. So, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, and that's what, and, you know, like conversation we had earlier, that's where West Coast music has to come to. All these great guys got to come together. Why everybody over here, when we all could just come together and we could be the Avengers. Like Spider-Man, I mean, Captain America cool by itself, but he got Hulk. Like, we got the Hulk too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so definitely, like, just bringing that community, the West Coast produce community together, definitely.
Yeah, the past, the present, and the future, man.
And the future. And the unknown.
And the unknown, yeah. Man, thank you so much, Dnyc3, for being on here, man. This is the first episode of season 3 for the radio. And we're excited, man. Hopefully we have y'all 3 on the season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can set that up easy.
Yeah.
But see, it's this season 3. That's why it's Dnyc with the 3. You feel me?
All right. Thank you so much, Dnyc3.
I appreciate you.
Peace.
Yeah, peace.